Hello, my name is Greg Pendy, and I want to welcome everybody to this installment of our virtual conference series with a focus on freight, disruption, and logistics. I'm a member of the SPAC and Disruptive Equity Research team at Chardan Capital Markets. As always, I'll start on an interesting note with some important disclosures. During this call, we will not be discussing Chardan research. Any discussions about research should be coordinated between a participant and their respective salesperson. Our compliance team has asked me to read this statement for the investor call. By participating in this call, our speakers attest that they have made Chardan aware of any potential conflicts, and they will not discuss any material, non-public, or confidential information that they are aware of that may breach their legal, regulatory, or fiduciary responsibility to any parties. So with those disclosures out of the way, it's my pleasure to introduce Surf Air Mobility. With us today, we have Sudhin Shahani, who's the co-founder and director, as well as Oliver Reeves, who's the chief financial officer. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. So let's just start off, for those not familiar with your company, with some big picture questions on what you're seeing and sort of macro drivers, and then we'll dig deeper into some company specifics. So just as we look at Surf Air Mobility's mission for commercializing green air travel, which disrupts what has been traditionally available for customers, can you just walk us through how and why electrification of planes is a catalyst for disrupting air travel?
Yes, absolutely. So, Greg, I think one of the key factors to note there, which is not apparent always, and is that unlike electric vehicles on the ground, the goal of electrification in the air, while of course being part of a broader play to decarbonize and reducing carbon emissions, actually significantly reduces cost. And what I mean by that is it significantly reduces the cost of smaller aircraft. So small airplanes, call it sub 10-seat airplanes, that were traditionally never accessible to a broad audience, on a per seat basis, should be reduced to a cost that makes them similar to large commercial airplanes. That's kind of the broader goal around this whole new industry that's being built around electric aviation, is to reduce cost, expand the total market size and opportunity for people to use small planes to get to more destinations and do more shorter hops in the air.
Great, that's very helpful. And then as you look at the global landscape, what do you identify as some of the mega trends out there that will shape your industry over the next few years? And then just expanding on that, why and how have you positioned Surf Air Mobility to prosper on those mega trends?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll define our industry as kind of a subset of aviation, which is being broadly defined by various groups, NASA, McKinsey, et cetera, as advanced air mobility. And advanced air mobility, again, gets split up typically into urban air mobility and regional air mobility. Urban being inner city, sub 50 mile kind of thing, regional being 50 to 500 miles. I would say there's a number of global megatrends to consider here. I think from a travel perspective, people are tending towards shorter regional trips to more curated and unique kind of out-of-the-way destinations. That's a trend we saw coming out of COVID that hasn't gone away. There's a growing awareness around the need to decarbonize across various parts of living in general. There's a need for better urban planning and urbanization and moving people in highly trafficked areas from the ground to the air. And I would say also maybe there's been a growth of more tech-enabled kind of mobility platforms across different travel segments, and the rise of different entrepreneurial businesses in general that kind of cater to those mobility platforms. So with all of that being said, where we've positioned to prosper in that environment, we're focusing on regional first rather than urban, and we're doing so because a lot of the infrastructure for regional already exists on the ground today. We have, particularly in the US, 5,000 airports that can be used by smaller air operators, where large airlines are using 30 airports for 70% of their traffic and only flex up to 200 or 300 airports. So we're going regional first because we see a faster path to market, both because of the fact that infrastructure exists on the ground and that in the regional space, you can take existing turboprop airplanes and convert them to either a hybrid or fully electric powertrain and start to see some of the benefits even while some of the more long-dated projects are coming to market.
Great, that's helpful. And then just how would you describe the industry's competitive landscape at the moment?
So there I would go actually to just my last comment about longer dated projects. Within the advanced air mobility industry, you have a lot of really ambitious companies doing incredibly ambitious things. largely around creating clean sheet design electric vehicles, whether they be for urban or regional use. A number of those companies have kind of a multifaceted business model as we do, where they've understood that in order to actually bring these to market at scale, you need to create a consumer service and you need to be able to have enough operators to fly them and so on. There's a lot that needs to be done to develop the space. But for the most part, a lot of those projects will require, if you're doing a full clean sheet design aircraft, a lot more capital and a longer timeline to certification.
Understood. And then what are some of the notable macro factors that are facing the space right now?
Oliver, I may turn that one over to
Yeah,
you.
sorry, I was just trying to find, I was trying to figure out if I was on delay, so we'll just stop and we'll re-record that. But so I can really see two in terms of macro factors that we should talk about. The first is, I think, inflationary pressures. Airline customers as a whole have been, quite price sensitive, as you can imagine. So it is more difficult to pass on increases in cost structure. And you can see that, for example, in fuel costs, which at the moment do affect us in particular. And we're looking forward to the day when electrification takes hold so that we're no longer subject to those type of pressures, obviously. As Sudhin mentioned, the cost element is something that we're particularly excited about. And on the electrification front, I think we're currently projecting a decrease in cost of about 50% for the all-electric Caravan that we are bringing to market.
Great. So with that, let's dive deeper just into some company specific questions. And just can you go over your positioning in the market and just walk us through what separates Surf Air from others in the space in terms of the path to electrification and some detail, some color around your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with the path to electrification. One of the things, as I mentioned earlier, what we're doing is we're creating both a hybrid and a fully electric variant of a powertrain for the Cessna Caravan. The Cessna Caravan is one of the most prolific turboprop aircrafts in the market today. We today are the largest passenger operator of the Caravans. We understand and know the vehicle really well and have a clear sense of kind of how to bring it to market with a view that we will be our own first customer. We have a unique relationship with Cessna, where not only will we be converting our fleet, but we have an exclusive sales and marketing agreement with Cessna, where they will be selling Cessna Caravans with our powertrain in them, both, again, the hybrid and the fully electric, to other clients. And we hope to spur, given the lower costs and so on, that hybrid and electric planes will have a whole new market opportunity. That, I think, also brings me to the discussion of our platform, where what we see as a big opportunity here as well is enabling various other regional operators to be in the space. We're not trying, or we don't aspire to just be a very large regional airline. We aspire to provide other regional operators, and we hope to grow the market of regional operators by providing them with services, software and hardware, things like electrified airplanes, financing tools, and really importantly, software tools to better run their business. And that's what you'll see a lot more of from us, is really sitting at the center of this ecosystem, where we're also agnostic in the long run, where even though we believe our path to electrification with the Cessna Caravan is the fastest path to market, hence we're investing resource in that, we also intend to work with all of the other electric vehicles as they come to market, electric airplanes, and put them through our platform.
Great, very helpful. And then just can you walk us through, the EP1, some of the advantages that has in terms of emissions and costs, just bigger picture as people make the decision to move into that space?
Yeah, absolutely. I may also touch upon the commercial relationships that we have in the space as a part of our positioning. I think we mentioned Textron. That's key and unique in the sense that people doing clean sheet design aircraft typically don't have, a general aviation OEM. And in this case, we're fortunate to have the largest aviation OEM in the space there to support the sales, marketing, and distribution of the product. To the points I made on the platform, we have a relationship with Palantir, where the software platform we're building to cater to operators and in the future OEMs and so on is being built in partnership with Palantir with really AI-driven tools and leveraging their Foundry platform for better data services and so on for operators to better run their business. If I were to go to our first aircraft, the EP1, the the goal here is to have two variants of the EP1, a fully electric, which will launch first, and a hybrid electric. The targets for the fully electric are to have a range of up to 100 miles. While that may sound like not a very long range, one, it's sort of a sweet spot in this air mobility space. But also, if you look at the flights that are being run on Cessna Caravans today, even with combustion motors, about approximately 30% of the market is aircraft that are flying 100 miles or less. So it's a not insignificant part of the market. And it's a first step with the battery electric, which will evolve over time as batteries get better. The range of the fully electric EP1 will continue to increase. The hybrid, and a point I should make, also for those people that have those missions, a fully electric is a more meaningful step because it reduces cost by, again, targets of up to 50% and emissions by up to 100%. The hybrid version is one to serve the larger kind of 70% piece of the existing caravan market, where the goal for the hybrid is to have similar performance as the combustion caravan does today, while reducing cost and emissions in the 25% or so range. And the hybrid comes after the fully electric. It's essentially, you're taking a fully electric architecture and adding a smaller, more efficient combustion engine to do some of the work that the batteries would do to find that balance.
Great, that's helpful. And then just moving on, can we just talk about sort of the path to market and some of the key milestones towards that pathway?
Yeah, look, I think broadly, it's the idea that we are going to convert our own fleet. As I mentioned, we are the largest passenger operator of the Caravan. We are enabling a number of other operators to come onto our platform, who we will be selling, with Textron, we'll be selling electric caravans to and providing them with services like financing, software, continued maintenance, and various other things we generate recurring revenue from in the future. And importantly, Textron will be offering the hybrid electric and fully electric caravan in their product line to all of the existing customers and new customers that are applicable to the Caravan today.
Great. And then can you just walk us through sort of revenues and just discuss your key revenue streams and the drivers behind those revenues in terms of passengers, flights, and destinations?
Sure. Well, I know Sudhin's touched on a few of these already, but one of the things to say here, Greg, is our business already generates about $112 million in revenue. It certainly did last year. And I'm just going to break those down for you. We think about them really in two ways. The first is our mobility business, which is really scheduled aircraft and on demand, which is our charter business. And when you think about those, they're going to grow in a couple of ways. The scheduled service is going to grow with our fleet order. I think that you've seen that we have 140 planes, caravans on order with Textron. As those come in, we're going to both refleet Sudhin, which is one of our operating businesses, which is flying the most of it. We have essential air service, which are government contracts, which we fly there. There's a subsidized routes. We're going to use a lot of our aircraft that come in to refleet those, but also we're going to take a large portion of those 140 aircraft that we receive to expand into about 200 routes that we've identified. And I know Sudhin could speak to those. That we consider our growth routes, which are going to take advantage of the fact that our electrified aircraft are going to be about 50% cheaper to fly, and so we believe that point-to-point travel will be something that we can bring back to the market, and we're very excited about. That's really sort of that mobility side of the business. The on-demand is going to grow in two ways. The first is just growth from us, I think, offering quite an exceptional performance and experience. I think our customers really do enjoy the product that we offer. But the second part is the platform that Sudhin was referring to, where we are bringing third-party operators onto our platform that will be able to give us their metal and benefit from our services in putting those into charter. As you think about really the electrification part of our business, which is part of the business that I'm also very excited about, that's going to come from upgrades, which is when we're going to go in and replace those powertrains with electric powertrains or hybrid powertrains. And then I think powered by the hour strategy, where we will be charging that recurring revenue model that Sudhin was talking to, that I think is quite powerful and is particularly well suited to electrification for a number of reasons. I think the last part of that is the Textron agreement, which allows us to sell planes. We have commercial agreements that allow us to work with Textron to put our plane within their lineup, the EP1, as Sudhin described earlier. And I suspect that there will be hopefully a lot of demand for that variant of the Caravan. And the last part of the business is our ACAS model. That's where we take all of the benefits of electrification and we add to that our software piece, which I think is something that we're very excited to be working on with Palantir. We aim to provide a lot of value to this industry, the regional air or advanced air mobility industry, which I don't think has had a lot of attention in terms of tools to enhance profitability. We aim to bring a lot of those to market. We're going to bundle that with finance. Obviously, financing smaller planes has been difficult for the industry as a whole, and I think we can bring a much broader solution to operators that want to come into the industry. And finally, insurance, which is another part of this, which I think is going to be a key component. When you bundle all of those together, you can provide a very, very nice value accretive offering to your customers and also benefit from it yourself.
Great, that's very helpful, and I appreciate all that color. So I guess maybe just to help people understand how are you thinking about the underlying business model then? Because there's several moving parts. How should investors be looking at your company in terms of where the puck's moving, so to speak, on what type of model? You've mentioned sort of the ability to get recurring stuff like that.
Yeah. So Sudhin will jump in here as well. But I think that this idea that we have is that it's a flywheel of growth, right? There's this birth of a new segment of the travel industry that is occurring, this advanced air mobility segment, and that's going to bring along a lot of opportunity. And the first opportunity is obviously to sell electric aircraft and because that's really what enables it. It's the fact that you can fly these aircraft at such a reduced cost versus what we have today. I mean, 50% does make a huge difference, and it saves a lot of time in terms of going point to point. I think that as customers get used to this model, that we do not have to fly hub and spoke anymore, and that it makes a whole lot of sense at those costs to fly direct. You can really see that value to the customer being monetized, right? It is something that is, I don't know, Sudhin, if you would agree, but from what we have been able to tell, customers are very willing to pay for that service and they're willing to pay a premium. So when you add, for example, the fact that all of these industries as they emerge require a platform, we are perfectly positioned, given our scale that exists today, to create that platform and benefit from it. And as we discuss a lot internally, when you have the platform, it allows you to benefit from every dollar of CapEx and every dollar of, sort of intellectual property and entrepreneurship that accrues to that industry, because you sit at the center of it. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to sit at the center of this emerging industry. And I guess the last part of it is the profitability piece. I mean, we spend a lot of time within our own company thinking about ways to enhance profitability, and it's something that we aim to bring to the industry as we become successful with it ourselves. So then, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, look, I would just say I think it's really important to note that the different components of our business, they're not kind of multiple different businesses. They're sort of necessary to build this ecosystem, and they're exponential to each other. So the way we broadly describe it is, the first step is, you just think sequentially, how do you go to market? The first step here is to grow the network and grow the use case. And we have the ability, given that we already operate this airplane type, to actually grow that network, both of customers and of other operators that fly for us under our brand and our distribution. The next step is to empower those operators more with electrified aircraft, software tools, the tools to better expand and grow their business, again, all running under our distribution platform. And then the next step, as the industry evolves, is as more and more electric vehicles come out and costs get cheaper and cheaper, we provide them to that network, and it increases the TAM, and it allows you to kind of go back to step one and grow the network to a whole new bunch of routes that are now affordable with smaller airplanes. And it becomes a self-fulfilling sort of virtuous cycle. But to Oliver's points, you need a platform at the base of all of that. You need the economies of scale that we have to deliver that and allow everyone to benefit from that. And you've seen the same thing happen in industries like, ride sharing or home rentals or so on. You need to have a platform and a brand that everyone can rally around to make it work at scale. It's not just about the technology or the equipment.
And I think, Sudhin, just a final point on that is, the commercial partnerships that we have, that Sudhin alluded to earlier, make this possible for us. From our relationship with Textron to our relationship with Palantir to our relationship with Jetstream. That's a $450 million facility specialized in turboprop financing. We have the tools at our fingertips to be able to put together a really attractive offering for our customers, but also these third-party operators. And we're very excited to see how we can contribute that value to the emergence of this, this industry, which we're very excited to see emerge now.
Great, very helpful. And then if we could just go through one final question. You mentioned a lot of strategic partnerships. How are you thinking about those strategic partnerships and/or M&A and/or licensing opportunities? Just put those out there.
And we're always looking for commercial partnerships. I think it's one of the ways that our business model can expand the most rapidly. As we've said, both Sudhin and I, that being the platform and being at the center of this industry is something that we think is a position that we can play. We intend to be agnostic as to technology and, quite frankly, as to aircraft type. And so I believe that one of the driving forces of what we're going to do is continuously seek new commercial partnerships, and we do so every single day. I think if you look at the announcements that we've made recently in terms of the type of aircraft that that we're bringing into the system and the speed at which we're doing so, I think you can take from that directionally that that's what we intend to do going forward as well.
Great. Well, that concludes our call today. I want to thank both Oliver and Sudhin for joining us and taking the time to go over Surf Air Mobility. It was very exciting to hear your story.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.